Thank you, Marion. Well, the most important part, of course, is the opening lines, where we read that God requests, never commands, and never demands the Jewish people to give gifts to the building of the tabernacle in the desert, whatever comes to their hearts to give. Last night we heard Hilton Ellis say that the main point of this parasha is that the giving and the building of the tabernacle should be within our hearts, that we should carry that image within our hearts, and all our actions should be in the image of Hashem. That is really the main message. However, when you look into and you read the different sages, you realize how many different layers are. For example, the word gifts. That is a very loose English translation of the Hebrew word Teruma. Others say it means to take something of yourself and to set it apart. Yet others say it comes from the root of a word, which means to raise ourselves up. We are raised in the giving. So I'm going to look at different aspects, particularly how this instruction depends totally on our voluntary participation. Those who didn't want to didn't have to. And this is amazing, as this is the very essence of our Reform Progressive Judaism. And for once, I'm going to emphasize that. The gifts, it's a gift of self. Even in the midst of all this detailed instruction, the choice of what gift to give to God and the option to choose what to give demonstrates the kind of religious autonomy that progressive Judaism in particularly reflects so well. This week's Torah portion is about details, unbelievable details. And if you like, in addition to the detail of where Hashem would dwell within us or amongst us, again, there's interpretation of the Hebrew word, it's within or amongst. But that detail also tells us about the unbelievable detail that is in our hearts or in the actual Jewish faith. This detail shows that Judaism is not just a religion, a theology, and ideas, a philosophy. No, not at all. It has been called a religion of action. The detail is in how we express that gift that we've chosen to give to God. Yes, you saw that in the different eras, be it in King David's or King Solomon, where he built the temple, or in the desert, the giving depended very much on what was needed and according to the circumstances and the norms at that time. What we give today in the wilderness that we live in now for 2 years, and prior to that, in a wilderness of a world where people are hating each other, where people are doing things to destroy the peace that Torah is all about, we have different gifts to offer. And I think it's a very beautiful interpretation of the gifts. So Rashi, thinking about these issues in the 11th century, he says Teruma means, as I said, to set apart. You set apart something that is of your ability to give. In our era, it could be your time, it could be your money, it could be, as we see in the donations on a Thursday at Temple Israel, It could be in how you talk to someone on a street corner. It could be on how you deal with another person in your community, in your congregation. It could be in our ability to show compassion and understanding within our committee. And there are a lot of misunderstandings in committees, be it in schools, be it in businesses. But we have to remember the detail that Hashem expects of us, and not just blindly do whatever comes to mind. This is what this detail actually involves. It's a control to take us back to the detail that Hashem would like in our lives. And other people have also said that when we are told to give according to the person's heart, let him give, it says, according to the heart. That means really what moves you. What turns you on to help someone else? What gives you a feeling of purpose? Because in that giving, as we do in terms of food and money and gifts on the Thursday, in that giving, that feeling, it connects you to Hashem. It puts you back into the tabernacle. And no matter how you choose to give, in whatever era, whether it's through our Heritage Center and what we did that day with that beautiful video we had with Judge L.B. Sachs in our giving to the stranger, that's another way. But it might be just by giving, in you saying a prayer silently to yourself when you see someone in need, or you saying a prayer when you see a beautiful sunset. All of these ways is the details of our giving. So this reflects our connection to God. But there is something that I found extraordinary when I was doing my study for this parasha. And of course, it's an unusual way of looking at this parasha, and it's connecting it to the building the golden calf in the desert before the tabernacle. You heard when I introduced it, even in this beautiful book I use, it says there is a deep connection between the golden calf and the building of the tabernacle. And Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, of blessed memory, that great tzaddik, saw in this an incredible connection in something that I've often expressed to you, and which I believe with my whole heart and soul. And I've said it to you in many ways, that in every great adversity lies a seed of the next step of achievement for humanity. Just the way in this adversity of COVID-19, we have been brought together to study Torah every Shabbat. We're more in shul than we've ever been in reality before this adversity. What an incredible happening. And it's not only Jewish people, it's all the religions, and it's even philosophy, even agnostic and atheists who believe, at least as I know the majority do, in doing good to the other, and what you give, you receive. Scientific has in this 2 years been involved in looking at what caused this pandemic. How do we treat each other? So, and Rabbi Sachs has emphasized this as well. And he's put it in a different way. He said, it is a very important principle in Judaism that there is always a source of hope, even in the greatest hour of darkness. We know that. We've already discussed that. But it is a principle that God creates the cure before the disease. Now, what a funny thing to say. But in a way, that's what I said already in the adversity is the seed of greatness, is the seed of its cure. What an extraordinary understanding. So, in the adversity of building the golden calf, that was a terrible, seemingly insult to Hashem. Whose fault was it? Was it Moses' fault that he left the people for 40 days and didn't tell them much what to do in the 40 days? Was it Aaron's fault? Because he gave into their fears and said, okay, you want a symbol to make you feel comfortable because Moses has disappeared. Where's this God he talks about? Do what you want. And they built a golden calf. Aaron, in one of the Mishnahs, even says it wasn't his fault. He just burnt the gold and out of it rose a golden calf. We all make excuses of our behavior when we are scared. And the whole connection between the golden calf and the tabernacle is a conversation that takes place actually between Moses and Hashem. And I won't go back to reading that part in Exodus. But God even says to Moses when he's on the top of the mountain, listen, you better not stay this long. Your people down below, they're doing bad things. And Moses immediately asked God's forgiveness. And then at a later stage, Moses says to Hashem as well, are you saying that the responsibility of my people is totally on me and you, Hashem, have nothing to do with it? Now, I find this extraordinary in the Jewish faith that we see Hashem as so close to us that we can argue with him. I mean, because really, that sin of the golden calf wasn't because the people were bad. They were scared. They needed something to cling to. And was Aaron that wrong in allowing them something that they wouldn't go out of their minds? So, here he says, he tells Moses, in other words, the people are your problem, not mine. Hashem was about to disown them. Moses, as I said, urgently prayed for forgiveness and then dissented. So the truth is the people panicked because Moses wasn't there. That is a problem with strong leadership if they're absent. But on the other hand, Moses then later challenges Hashem. And this is so important to our understanding of the depth of this parasha. And he says to Hashem, the people want your presence. They were too scared to even come near you at the mountain. They said, no, you, Moses, talk for us. If we hear God's voice, we might die. So Moses challenges Hashem. And he said, let us know your ways. Let us see your glory. What is your connection? Give us something that the people will know, that they don't have to ever build a golden calf again out of fear and loneliness, that you'll always be with us. Here, Moses is undertaking the most courageous act of his life. In essence, he is saying to Hashem, it is not only my distance that's a problem, it's your distance. The people are terrified of you, and you're so far away. They've witnessed your overwhelming power with all the miracles. So please, you show us, Hashem, that indeed you are near to us, that you're not far away. And as you know, we've read many times, you're not in the heavens, you're not in the waters, you're not over a mountain. You've got to be near to us, and we need a way of always knowing that you are within us, and not only amongst us, within our hearts. So Moses' request to Hashem is answered in this week's parasha. And of course, in terms of time and space and eternity, and Hashem and God is eternal energy, we know that time and space are all one. So already, when in the golden calf had to be to express that fear, there was already the answer. The answer was to come at the right time, as it always does. When we have understood the lessons of the fear of being on our own, the lessons of the plague, we will be a better people for it, because the answer will come. And that is why we have in our parasha this week the answer to the so-called sin, which was only based on fear. And Hashem answered Moses, knowing the right time and putting in that very tragedy the answer, if we only look for it. And so this is where he says, answering the 3 chapters that were so important, expressing not sin but fear, which is the majority of sin. And he said, let them make for me a sanctuary that I might dwell in their midst. And so this is the first time in Torah that we hear the verb Shekinah. We've interpreted a sh and an n, meaning to dwell in relation to God. As a noun, the word means a neighbor. Isn't this amazing? So, post-biblical Judaism, today, Shekinah means God's immanence, as opposed to his transcendence, his otherness, his inaccessibility. Not at all. Shekinah shows us that God is one who is close to us. The daring idea that God is our neighbor, and that God is within every neighbor around us, that we must respect and love. So, God does not live in a building, but rather in the hearts of the builders. Let them make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell amongst them. This has happened, I believe, in the sanctuary we have made, with the help of each and every one of you here, my management committee, who do so much, the congregants who attend with us, without whom we could not have this beautiful sanctuary made up of each of the holy spaces we're in. We indeed are building that tabernacle to Hashem in this era, in this century. And when we leave this tabernacle, when we go out into the world, our actions show our connection to Hashem. Our thoughts, our words, our actions, to anyone we may meet, to the mitzvah that our shul does with the poor, but to more than that as well, with your thoughts and the actions that each one of you individually do with the people you meet, completely nothing to do with our shul, the strangers you meet, the gifts of kind words you give them, the gifts you give from your heart, be they words or be they physical objects. And I really believe that during this era, we have really found a way to connect with Hashem individually. And that is the most important part, where we express the individual freedom, particularly in a more progressive approach and a more tolerant, inclusive approach to life and to Judaism. It is the human act that causes the divine presence to come and live with us when we're together in a sanctuary, and to live with us every moment, no matter what we do. And in conclusion, God's greatest gift to us is the ability that we can give back to God. Because without us, how can God complete his magnificent creation? God needs us. Hashem needs us as much as we need him. Now, this may seem a revolutionary idea, but we know, and we've said it many, many times, that we are co-creators in peace and in a world which is still perhaps centuries away, but you and I are part of that chain, which we can bring Hashem's laws, certainly not only to the Jewish people, and of course we must do that to each other, but equally important to all humanity, because God is all humanity. And I have found a prayer here, which we can conclude this brochure with. And when the building of the Mishkan was complete, at the end of the book of Exodus, Moses blessed all the people. What were the words of this blessing? According to the Midrash, in the Sifra collection, Moses said, "May it be the will of God that the Shekinah, my spirit, rest upon the work of your hands." And then quoting Psalm 90:17, he said, "Ma'aseh yadenu konechu." May the work of our hands be firm, and may the work of our hands be stable and strong. May the work of each of your hands contribute to making our world a much more beautiful place, as Hashem intended it to be. Shabbat Shalom.